Before I even continue talking about this opportunity, I want to draw your attention to the fact that it's possible for you to study in the February intake in this particular country I'm going to be talking about. It's also possible for you to start your lectures in September. So those who already applied, and some of them are already getting their visa, some have gotten, some are still in the process, will start this September. If you want to start your studies by January next year 2025, then you have to watch this video to the end. There is a lot I'm going to review here. If you are new to our channel, my name is Milton. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, on this channel we talk about anything that is going to carry you abroad legally possible, and we equally talk about scholarship opportunities, of course. Now remember that I am only using my research capabilities and my study abroad journey, and of course, let me say experience, to bring out this material here. I expect you to also take the material and do your own research. That is why I'm putting my part. So I'm doing my part, also try to do your part, please. Thank you so much. Please give me water to drink by clicking the like button and sharing this video. If you do that, you have done a lot to me. Now let's proceed. If you want to move to Europe, precisely the Netherlands, in February 2025, that is to say, if you want to travel by January next year, then listen to this video to the end. Now, I'm going to talk about how you can find schools in the Netherlands, the application process to the Netherlands, the documents you need to study in the Netherlands, then what happens after you've gotten your admissions to the Netherlands, and how the visa process is. First thing first, what do you need to study in the Netherlands? You basically need your high school certificates to apply for bachelor's degree programs like your WAEC, your NECO, your WATSI, your GC O levels and A levels, depending on the country in which you're coming from. Sometimes WAEC, GC O levels and A levels is okay to go. Do you need IELTS? 100% yes. But there are still some schools that may waive it for you. So you have to be strategic to know to do your research. I always tell people research is very important, and Milton cannot do the work alone. You have to also do your own part. I have talked about the requirements for you to apply for bachelor's degree programs. It's possible to study in English, to study a BSc program in the Netherlands in English language. It's also possible to study a master's program in the Netherlands in English language. Now, for you to apply for masters, what do you need? You need your O levels and A levels, your WAEC, your WATSI, your NECO, plus your bachelor's degree transcript and diploma. That is for bachelor's. Then you also need what we call curriculum vitae and motivation letter. You need to write a motivation letter to tell the admissions team why you want to go to the Netherlands. In few cases, you are going to have an interview, online interview or an online exam to finally give you the program. But in some other cases, it is not like this. These are the requirements for masters. When you want to apply for the schools, you should first of all understand that some schools have application fee, others don't have application fee. So it's not compulsory, right, to apply for schools with application fee. You just need to do your research. In case your school doesn't have application fee, good and fine. But there are schools that don't have application fee if you want to study in the Netherlands. Now, before I proceed with the video, let me tell you that there are schools in the Netherlands that have fully funded scholarship opportunities. There are schools in the Netherlands that have partial funding, like the NOSC scholarship, the Orange scholarship, and the Dutch government scholarships. But what time do you actually apply for this scholarship? If you are targeting such scholarships, please make sure you start your application. You start checking your application around, maybe start checking around November, December. This is against September intake. Those going for February intake, they usually have just few scholarships. But if you are really looking for a scholarship, you want to study for a fully funded scholarship in the Netherlands, try by checking schools from the month of November, December, January latest, because that's the time most of these scholarships usually close up. Now we have talked about the requirements. How do you now proceed to apply? For you to apply, you need to go to studyinnl.org. That is studyinnetherlands.org. That's the original site. But remember, on this site, you are only going to see the list of universities arranged there alphabetically. from the University of Amsterdam, Wageningen University, the University of Twente, the University of Rotterdam, the Technical University of Amsterdam. There are so many universities in the Netherlands. We cannot even talk about them. Now, all of them are arranged alphabetically and with their programs. So now it is your duty to decide on where you want to study. Then you filter your search from that study in Netherlands. Now, when you have seen a university and a program, the next thing to do is to read the requirements very well. Some schools will ask you for motivation letters and CV. Some will ask for recommendation letters. Then some will ask for application fee, while others would not. When you have seen a school to apply, you now click apply. When you click apply, it's going to take you to a website called Study Link. Now, on Study Link, you create an account, then select your programs, then upload your documentation. Now, it's going to be sometimes 2 weeks, maximum 1 month. You are going to get a reply from the school giving you a go-ahead interview, or wait for an interview, or probably they will give you your offer letter. This is how it works for Study Link. Remember, most of the time you are going to pay the application fee. Sometimes Study Link will direct you from the site to another site, okay, for you to do your application. But most of the things happening in the Netherlands, like if you want to move to the Netherlands, most of the work is done on studyinNL.org and Study Link. Now, remember, you already have an account on Study Link. The next thing now to do is to submit your application. When you submit your application, maximum sometimes 2 weeks, 1 month, you will get a positive feedback. This feedback now, from when you get admissions now, you have to then do the payment of the tuition fee. And this is where many people have a bit of problems. Remember, I have said many times here that if you want to study in the Netherlands, you need to have money. First of all, have money. Why am I insisting on you having money? Because as soon as you get admissions, you would be needed to pay the complete money into the Dutch account or the school account. Before you even apply to these programs, you should be aware that you are going to come across all these details I'm telling you. And of course, the website is going to explain, the immigration site will tell you how much the immigration needs, because it is the school applying for your visa. Now, relax, let me explain again. When you get admissions, you would be asked to pay a tuition fee. Now, sometimes this tuition fee payment will come alongside the tuition deposit, that's the tuition fee, then what we call living cost money, what we call medical insurance, and of course, your visa application fee. Sometimes visa application fee is 228 euros. Then you have insurance of 700 euros. Then your tuition fee. In addition to that, most of the time the school will tell you to transfer all this money into their account, the school account. But remember, this money is safe. When you now transfer this money into the school account, it is now the school who is going to do visa application for you. Now, visa application will be done on your behalf, and when it is approved by the Dutch immigration or the Dutch government, they will send you a letter confirming that your visa has been approved by the Dutch government. But you still need to do one more thing. You need to take your passport, the letter approved by the Dutch government, and go to the nearest Dutch embassy to apply for what is called MVV stamp. MVV stamp is more or less like a visa, and this visa expires after 3 months. We'll now book an appointment with the nearest Dutch embassy. In Africa, we have it in Cotonou in Benin Republic, and there is also one in Ghana. So you can book an appointment from there. Please remember, appointment is usually very scarce somehow in most embassies, so be conscious of what you are doing. Now, when you book the appointment and go and apply for MVV, they are going to ask you a couple of questions. When you respond to these questions, the next thing that will happen now is you will get your passport stamped, and that is the MVV that has been stamped in your passport. Remember, this is when you've done all the deposit of that money I mentioned to you. So when choosing your school in the Netherlands, note that you need to have at least 18 millions on your palms, because they are going to ask you to deposit your entire tuition fee if you are going for 1 year program. Then they are going to ask you to deposit your living costs 14,600 plus 700 for medical insurance, 228 for visa fee. if you calculate everything is going closer to like maybe 18 19 million. Now you need to have this money because when you transfer, that's when the school is going to do your visa application, and there is a deadline for everything. When that is paid, when your visa document is around, you go to the embassy and collect the MVV stamp. Remember, when you go into the Netherlands, you still need to apply for what we call the residence permit, but it doesn't take time. Then when you get the residence permit, you do some few tests, then it is now time for you to actually open an account. When you open an account now, the school is going to remove their own tuition, then refund back the money to you. Remember, this procedure is not for everybody. Some schools do it, others don't do it. So you should be very wise. They will refund the balance. So on a rough side, you might be receiving close to 8 million back, but it's always good to have the money. Now, if you don't have the money, it's going to be difficult for you to proceed. But somehow this is the cheapest method to migrate or to jackpot. Now, we have talked about how to jackpot abroad, and then when you move in now, your life becomes better and so many things. You keep doing your things one way or the other. Remember, you do not need accommodation like in other countries before you can move in, but it is advisable to start looking for your accommodation early enough because accommodation is a serious problem in this place. Expect to pay maybe 500 600 euros for maybe a studio if it's cheap, but most times studio costs about 750 800 or even more. It depends. But if you are sharing an apartment with somebody, you might be lucky to probably maybe get something for like 400 500 euros. Understand that the Netherlands is one of the richest countries in Europe and also the world producer, like the world's second largest producer of food. You know what I mean? Okay, almost 3/4 of the Netherlands is inside submerged in water. But again, that's why you see a lot of things happening, irrigation and a whole lot of stuff. But that is a very beautiful country. So now they also have February intake and September intake. Let me give you one gist you didn't know. If you want to study in the January intake, the Netherlands consider January intake as half of the year. So if you get admissions to study in the January-February intake, you are going to divide your tuition by 2 and pay just half, and the other expensive. You are not going to pay 1 full year of tuition like others. You are just going to pay half. I hope this is understood. If you have more doubts, drop a comment below then. Or if you want a one-on-one call with me, book an appointment. If anything is disturbing you, drop a comment below. Let's see how we can figure it out from there. So this is the information you need if you want to study in the Netherlands. Now, let me tell you that if you want to study in this country, also try to target courses that are in demand. Hospitality, engineering, all those things, trades, they are in demand in the Netherlands. Now, it is now time for you to decide on which path you are going to follow. Like I said, if you find yourself in the Netherlands, grab it, study the language, so that when you finish, one fascinating thing that many people don't know is when you finish your study, you have 1 year of orientation year visa. You will apply for a visa to look for a job in the Netherlands for 1 year. Definitely, when you find a job, the employer will now do your full package of work permit. Then you now stay in the Netherlands. After like 5 years, you get your citizenship. Is that not awesome? That is good. So please, these are everything. In fact, this is the information I wanted you to know. Always remember that Milton is just trying his own part. Now it's time for you to do your own due diligence. And do not forget that, like I said, you can apply for some schools and get rejection. Some schools specifically made it clear that IELTS is very important. So if you don't have IELTS now, it might be very difficult for you to jackpot, guys. Just make sure you get all the documents intact, and of course, you would be ready to go. I hope this video helps you. Till we meet again in another one. Bye-bye.